Jason Statham saves canine dog from a cheetah. What happened next will shock you. It was a quiet morning in the African savanna, the kind of place where the golden sun painted the grasslands in warm hues and the horizon stretched endlessly under a vast open sky. Jason Statham, the iconic action star, was on a rare break from filming, exploring the wilderness with a small crew. He had always been drawn to adventure, and this trip was no exception. But what started as a peaceful excursion quickly turned into a life-or-death situation. Statham was walking along a dusty trail, his sharp eyes scanning the landscape, when he heard a low growl. He froze, his instincts kicking in. A few yards away, a canine dog, a German shepherd named Max, was cornered by a cheetah. The big cat's golden eyes were locked on the dog, its body coiled like a spring, ready to pounce. Max, though trained and fearless, was clearly outmatched. The crew behind Statham gasped, but he raised a hand, signaling them to stay back. "Don't move," he whispered, his voice calm but firm. "I've got this." The cheetah's ears twitched, its focus shifting slightly towards Statham, but it didn't back down. Its tail flicked, and it let out a low, menacing growl. Max, sensing an opportunity, barked fiercely, but the cheetah didn't flinch. Statham took a slow step forward, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. "Easy now," he said, his voice steady. "Let's not do anything we'll regret." The cheetah's eyes narrowed, its muscles tensing. It was clear it saw Statham as a threat, or perhaps as prey, but Statham wasn't about to back down. He had faced danger before, and he wasn't about to let an innocent dog become a cheetah's meal. He glanced around, spotting a large stick on the ground. Without taking his eyes off the cheetah, he bent down slowly and picked it up. The cheetah growled louder, its body lowering into a crouch. It was ready to strike. Statham tightened his grip on the stick and took another step forward. "You don't want to do this," he said, his voice low but commanding. "Trust me." For a moment, the cheetah hesitated. Its eyes darted between Statham and Max, weighing its options, but then, with a sudden burst of speed, it lunged not at Max, but at Statham. Statham reacted instantly, swinging the stick with precision. It connected with the cheetah's side, sending the big cat sprawling to the ground. The cheetah let out a yowl of surprise and pain, scrambling to its feet. It glared at Statham, its ears flattened against its head, but it didn't attack again. Instead, it turned and bolted into the tall grass, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. Statham exhaled sharply, lowering the stick. He turned to Max, who was still crouched low, his ears perked, and his tail wagging cautiously. "You okay, buddy?" Statham asked, his voice softening. Max barked once, as if to say, "I'm fine, thanks to you." The crew rushed forward, their cameras still rolling. "That was incredible," one of them exclaimed. "You just took on a cheetah." Statham shrugged, a small smirk playing on his lips. Just another day in the wild. The aftermath. The story of Jason Statham saving Max the canine dog from a cheetah spread like wildfire. News outlets picked it up, and soon, the tale of the action star's heroic rescue became the stuff of legend. People around the world were captivated by the story, and Statham's reputation as a real-life hero only grew. Max, the canine dog, became a celebrity in his own right. He and Statham formed an unbreakable bond, and Max became a constant companion on Statham's adventures. The two were inseparable, their partnership a testament to the power of loyalty and courage. As for the cheetah, It was never seen again in that part of the savannah. Some speculated it had learned its lesson, while others believed it had simply moved on to safer hunting grounds. A new beginning. In the weeks that followed, Statham and Max continued their journey through the African wilderness. They explored remote villages, climbed rugged mountains, and even helped local conservationists track endangered species. Everywhere they went, they were greeted with admiration and respect. One evening, as they sat by a campfire under a sky filled with stars, Statham looked at Max and smiled. "You know, buddy," he said, scratching the dog behind the ears, "you're not just a dog, you're family." Max wagged his tail, his eyes shining with loyalty and love. And as they sat there, surrounded by the sounds of the wild, Statham knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Because in the end, it wasn't just about the man or the dog. It was about the unbreakable bond that made them a team. And that was something no one could ever take away. The legacy, the story of Jason Statham and Max the canine dog, became more than just a viral sensation. It became a global phenomenon. What had started as a life-or-death encounter in the African savannah had now turned into a powerful symbol of courage, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between man and dog. The world couldn't get enough of them. News outlets ran stories about their bravery. Social media was flooded with tributes, and even Hollywood took notice. Offers came in for movie adaptations and book deals. But for Statham, it wasn't about the fame. It was about the journey, about what he had learned from that one fateful encounter in the wild. As the story spread, wildlife conservation organizations saw an opportunity. They reached out to Statham, asking him to use his influence to bring attention to the growing crisis of poaching and habitat destruction. Always one to step up for a cause, Statham agreed. He and Max became unofficial ambassadors for wildlife protection, traveling across Africa to work with local conservationists. Max wasn't just a companion. He became an essential part of the mission. His canine training made him an expert in tracking scents, and soon he was helping rangers locate illegal poaching camps. With his keen senses, he was able to sniff out traps, locate wounded animals, and even alert the team to approaching dangers before they could see them. One night, during a patrol deep in the savannah, they discovered something horrifying. An entire family of elephants slaughtered for their ivory. The sight was gut-wrenching. Statham clenched his fists, anger rising in his chest. Max let out a low growl, sensing the distress in the air. They knew they couldn't undo the damage that had been done, but they could do something about the people responsible. Over the next few weeks, Statham and Max worked alongside anti-poaching units, tracking down those who had committed the crime. With Max leading the way, they followed a trail deep into the wilderness. Eventually, they found the poachers' hideout, and with the help of the authorities, the criminals were brought to justice. A second encounter. Despite their growing success in conservation efforts, there was one memory that still lingered in Statham's mind. The cheetah, the one he had fought off to save Max. He often wondered what had happened to it. Had it learned to hunt properly? Had it survived without injury? Fate had an answer for him. One evening, while setting up camp near a watering hole, Max suddenly became alert. His ears perked up, his body tense. Statham followed his gaze. And there, standing just a few meters away, was the same cheetah. It was unmistakable. the same piercing golden eyes, the same scar on its side from where Statham had struck it with the stick. But this time, there was no aggression in its stance. It wasn't crouched to attack. Instead, it simply observed them, as if recognizing them. For a long moment, man, dog, and predator stood frozen in place. Max, remembering their last encounter, didn't bark. Instead, he stayed still, his tail slowly wagging in curiosity rather than fear. Statham took a deep breath. "Looks like we meet again," he said, his voice calm. The cheetah remained motionless, its gaze flicking between them. And then, after what felt like an eternity, it slowly turned and padded away into the tall grass. Statham watched it disappear into the night, a small smile playing on his lips. It wasn't an enemy anymore. It was simply another survivor in the vast, untamed wilderness. A new purpose. As time passed, Statham and Max continued their mission. They visited schools and conservation centers, teaching children about the importance of respecting wildlife. They worked with rangers to develop better anti-poaching techniques. They even helped relocate animals that were endangered due to habitat destruction. But beyond all the work, they simply lived. They ran through the open plains together, camped under the endless African sky, and enjoyed the peace that came with knowing they were making a difference. One day, as they were traveling through a remote village, they came across a stray puppy, thin, scared, and clearly abandoned. Without hesitation, Statham picked up the trembling pup, cradling it in his arms. Max sniffed the little one curiously before giving a single approving bark. "Well, looks like we've got a new recruit," Statham said with a chuckle. And just like that, their duo became a trio. The legend grows their story didn't end. It simply evolved. Years later, people still talked about Jason Statham and Max, the K9 dog who had once faced down a cheetah and lived to tell the tale. They spoke of the work they had done, the lives they had saved, and the lessons they had taught about bravery, loyalty, and the importance of protecting the world's most vulnerable creatures. As the sun set over the savanna one evening, Statham sat on a rocky outcrop, gazing at the horizon.